Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter, verses 9 through 12, and it reads like this: two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. But if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against them, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading and hearing of his holy word. And from the New King James Version of the Bible, it reads like this: two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one else to help him up. Subject is what it means to have a friend. A friend is one who is attached to another by affection. A friend is one who is connected to another by a mere acquaintance. Friends are not hostile toward each other. Friends are usually like-minded and usually share common interests. In our society, the word friend is tagged to many persons who do not live up to the label what it really means. But those who have experienced betrayal, those who've experienced deception, those who have experienced deceit, know the difference between an acquaintance and a friend. Do I have any witnesses here? Do you know what it means to have a friend? To have a friend means to have someone who loves you. To have a friend means to have someone who loves you, in some cases more than you love yourself. To have a friend means to share in that person's life, not being jealous, not being envious, not trying to pull them down, but trying to help one another up. To have a friend means to work for each other and help each other in the good times as well as the bad. To have a friend means to look out for one another through thick and thin, through sunshine and snow, through rain and weather fair. To have a friend means to have somebody who's with you to the end. I'm not talking about a fair weather friend. I'm not talking about conditional friends. But I'm talking about a friend that'll stick with you when times get tight, the road gets rough, and the going gets tough. The words of Solomon written in this book of Ecclesiastes at the surface level look to be designed for marriage. And yes, they can apply to marriage. However, when we examine these verses further, these verses are written for humans on this lonely planet who are wondering how to survive in this mean, cruel world and this cold, cruel culture. It is a cold, cold world. You can wake up in the morning and your neighbor will rob your house. You can go to bed in the evening and find folk who you thought your friends aren't who you think they are. Solomon was a man of wisdom. He wrote these verses to help us understand that friendship is a good investment. He wrote these verses to help us understand that it is good to have a friend. And there's a great return on friendship. The very best investment you can ever make in life will not be a financial one, but rather an investment you make in relationships with people. It will pay the highest dividends. All the preacher's trying to say this morning is it's just good to have a friend. I have any witnesses here? Do you know and do you value what it means to have a friend? Notice, if you will, that real friends help each other when one falls down. Verse 10 reads, "For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up." These words written by Solomon really speak to the heart. There will be a lot of people you meet in life, and perhaps you can call them acquaintances. There'll be a lot of people coming across your path that you can call associates. Yeah. There are a lot of people you can meet who come across your way, and you can call them persons you have an encounter with. But there are very few people that you can call a friend. Do I have any witnesses here? You can't call everybody your friend. And in time, the real way you can tell the differences between your acquaintances and your friends is when you get in trouble. Do y'all hear me this morning? When you get into wits in corner, you will find out who your friends are. Trouble has a way of sifting and is being a filter to show you who your real friends are. If you cannot tell who your friends are in life, just get sick. And I'm not talking about catching a cold. I'm talking about being in the hospital for a long time. And you will find out who your friends are. Some folks won't even send you a card. Some folks won't even pick up the phone and call you. Some people will never visit you. And if you cannot tell who is in your corner, just lose your status. Lose your job. Lose your position and your post, and then you can tell who really cares about you. A friend is someone who you can call on anytime. Somebody ought to hear me. Day and night. Proverbs 17:17 reads, "A friend loves at all times." Y'all hear me this morning? I said a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Thanks be to God that we have a friend who will help you. Do y'all hear me this morning? It ought not be that cold in here this morning. I said a friend is someone, thanks be to God that we've got somebody who will help us when we hurt and lift us up and keep us and hold us. He sticks with us through good times and bad. He sticks with us when the sun is up and when the sun is down. There is this friend will never leave you nor forsake you. I want you to know this morning that there's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. None else can heal all our soul's diseases. No, not one. No, not one. Jesus knows all about our struggles, and he will guide until the day is done. There's not a friend. Somebody ought to hear me this morning. Like the lowly Jesus, no, not one. Yes, sir, preacher. No, not one. Real friends help you when you're down. Yes, y'all got that? Yes. Secondly, that real friends will provide emotional and physical warmth in a cold and cruel culture. Yes, verse 11 reads, "Again, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone?" This passage of Scripture can be misinterpreted if it is just taken at a literal meaning. One can be warm sitting next to a fire. One can be warm sitting next to a furnace. One can be warm sitting next to a heater or any other electrical appliance. However, a person can be in a room full of people and feel chilly, feel cold, feel breezy because of this world. Have you ever been in a room and you knew everybody was talking about you? You knew everybody was hating on you? That's a cold feeling. And if you want to know how it feels to be alone, try being the pastor of a church. I wish somebody would hear me. Sometimes you feel all alone and by yourself. There is more than just keeping each other warm. This text is about more than just keeping each other warm physically. When we face circumstances beyond our control, we need someone who we can call on for emotional strength, who will lift us up. Everybody ought to have a prayer partner somewhere. You ought to have somebody in your life that can get a prayer through. While we are in the middle of a war, we do not need those telling us not to continue to fight, or you will lose anyway. That's why you ought to surround yourself around positive people. The world has enough mess for you. Do y'all hear me this morning? And you ought to be around people that'll lift you up. You need somebody to say you are victorious, that you can make it if you try.